Olad was a fixture in the call center, like the flickering overhead light, or the faint smell of burnt popcorn. He considered himself a veteran, part of the old batch, he'd say. He said it with a certain gravity, as if he'd stormed beaches, not just phone lines. The training room was his stage. Today it held new trainees. Their faces were shiny, full of hope, or maybe just nervous sweat. Olad saw them, an audience. He began to prowl. The air in the training room was thick. Stale coffee, day-old donuts. A hint of existential dread. Olad loved it. He called this mentoring. We called it Olad's story hour, or sometimes, oh God, here he comes. He'd clear his throat, a sound like a small engine trying to start, on a very cold morning. Showtime, he thought. The trainees looked up. They didn't know what was coming. Poor souls. Olad believed he was exceptionally wise, a guru of customer interactions, a philosopher of phone etiquette. He had truly seen it all in his mind. Angry callers, callers who cried, callers who just wanted to talk about their cats. He remembered every dramatic detail, or he embellished them, just a little, for the narrative arc, you understand. It was all part of the grand Olad tapestry. He was weaving his legacy, one tedious anecdote at a time. The new trainees sat there, so young, so naive. They probably still believed the customer was always right, a charming yet utterly false notion. Olad knew the truth. The customer was often confused, or having a bad day, or possibly a space alien. He was here to impart his hard-won wisdom, the real rules of engagement, the Olad doctrine. Rule 1, listen to Olad. Rule 2, see Rule 1. It was simple, really. Olad would lean in conspiratorially. His voice would drop to a dramatic whisper. Let me tell you about the great server crash of 23. He said it like he was recounting a war, a digital Dunkirk. The trainees would exchange puzzled glances. Was this on the syllabus? There was no actual crash, just a slow Tuesday. But Olad had been there, on the phones. A hero. He had rebooted a computer, twice. This one lady, Olad would begin, his eyes distant. He never used names, just this lady or this guy. It added to the mystique, or his poor memory. She said her internet was haunted. Olad didn't miss a beat. He didn't suggest a priest. He suggested she unplug the router, then plug it back in. Revolutionary stuff. She apparently hailed him as a tech wizard. He might have added that last part, for flavor. Then there was the saga of the forgotten password fiasco. A gentleman caller. He'd forgotten his password. Again. For the 4th time that very week. Olad portrayed this as a delicate hostage negotiation. He didn't sigh. Not audibly anyway. He patiently guided the man through the labyrinth of security questions. Your mother's maiden name? Your first pet's favorite food? Olad just knew. He had a gift. Or he made good guesses. His absolute favorite story, the one he saved for special occasions. The tale of the yodeling customer. This customer wasn't irate, not at all. He was simply yodeling into the receiver, testing the line quality perhaps. Olad, never one to be outdone, yodeled right back. He claimed this act of cultural exchange diffused a potentially tense situation. He even wrote himself a commendation on a post-it note. He stuck it on his monitor, a monument to his genius. You see, these aren't just calls, Olad would declare. He'd gesture expansively, with a pen, as if conducting an orchestra. These are miniature masterclasses in leadership. Each resolved issue, a testament to his patience, his strategic thinking, his inherent Oladness, all key attributes of a successful manager. He would subtly adjust his headset. As if it were a crown, he felt the weight of his own potential. That lady with the haunted internet, that was crisis management, Olad would explain, his tone serious, as if discussing international diplomacy. I remained calm under extreme paranormal pressure. I delivered a swift, effective solution. Unplug, plug. It saved the company. Millions, he implied. In avoided ghost-busting fees. Management needed that kind of fiscal prudence. His kind. He was practically a CFO already, in spirit. And the fellow who forgot his password repeatedly? Olad would nod sagely. That was pure coaching. Mentorship at its finest. He was guiding an employee, well, a customer, to unlock their own potential, to find their own answers. Even if the answer was Sparky 123, He wasn't just giving them a fish, he was teaching them to fish, for passwords, in the treacherous waters of their own memory. A true manager empowers. Overlord felt very empowering. The yodeling gentleman? Overlord's face would light up. Team building, interdepartmental communication, morale boosting. He had built a bridge of song, across the digital divide. Imagine, he'd suggest, his team meetings. They would be legendary, full of harmony and synergy, and probably some yodeling. Highly motivational yodeling, of course. He was convinced this was the future of corporate leadership, his future. The trainees would offer a mix of reactions. Some looked bewildered, some looked mildly entertained. A few were already discreetly checking job listings on their phones. Overlord, naturally, remained oblivious. He was basking in the warm glow of his own narratives. He could almost see his name, in shiny letters, on the manager's office door. Overlord, Director of Solutions and Inspirations. It had a certain ring to it. Just then, Mr. Henderson, the actual manager, would stroll by. He always had impeccable timing. He'd offer a small, knowing smile. He'd witnessed Overlord's training sessions before, many, many times. Overlord, Mr. Henderson would say, his voice calm. Module 4 on data privacy, please, for the new team. Overlord would straighten up. Yes, sir, of course, just imparting some foundational wisdom. Mr. Henderson would nod and continue his coffee quest. Overlord would deflate, just for a moment. A tiny, imperceptible sigh. But then he'd catch the eyes of the trainees, still looking at him, perhaps out of politeness or fear. He'd puff his chest out again. Mr. Henderson highly values my unorthodox methods, he'd whisper. He's grooming me for bigger things. The legend had to be maintained. For the sake of the new batch, they needed a hero, even a self-appointed one. And so, Overlord continued his reign. The undisputed, uncrowned king of his cubicle row. He might not have the corner office, or the fancy title, or the pay bump he so clearly deserved. But he had his stories, his glorious, slightly exaggerated stories. And with every intake of new trainees, he had a fresh, captive audience. Ready or not, they were about to hear the call center chronicles. According to Overlord, forever and ever. Amen.